he's trying to dispel to some degree the idea of the creative genius. It seems to be the general premise of the entire book. And so he's trying to rebrand creativity as being someone who's just simply born with it. Yeah. He or she was born with it. To more of a what is known as the inverted U-shaped relationship between familiarity and preference, or as he simplified, and probably from his marketing back pocket, called the creative curve. And
so what is the creative curve?
Yeah. And so there was a couple of breadcrumbs in the psychology definition, which I read out, but basically it is literally the relationship between human taste and preference. And so basically think of like an x-axis, the horizontal axis as being the spectrum of human taste, and then think about preference as being how preferential it is by people. And so you can just think about like a bell-shaped curve sitting on that. So obviously in the center somewhere, which is, not at either end of the spectrum in terms of familiarity, in terms of taste, that's where you've got the most preference. If that makes sense. Yeah.
Because it's the graph's the highest at that point.
Yeah. And then so it tails off at both ends, either side of that, much like a bell. That's why it's called the bell curve. Fun fact.
Thank you.
And so
informative and fun.
Yeah. You just got to love a practical name, don't you? We need a name for this new concept we've come up with today. Well, it looks like a bell. It's called the bell curve.
Yeah. I think you invented it, right?
Yeah.
No one else would have thought of that.
So the idea is that, we like novelty, and the horizontal axis, like the human taste, where that kind of sits, where the spectrum sits there, or certainly where the center point is sitting, certainly shifts over time. And so it's a very dynamic, moving graph. And what it's also premised on is
a ringing bell.
Do we like that or we don't like that?
Said the bell might be ringing. It's moving. See what I did there?
Thanks for the elaboration, Lockie.
Sorry, I'm just derailing you here. You're in the middle of something. So,
well, okay. So here we go. So let's go with that. So the bell is struck. The little ball hanging in the center hits the side, and it's hit. It's struck a chord or something. So we could consider that as maybe something novel has struck a chord with the community, and we consider that maybe a breakthrough technology or something, or a new thing. But the fact is, it's still within the bell. It's still contained within the bell, and the point of this is that there's not much new. There's not many new things getting around. Everything's been done, and it's just about how we can resurface things, or how we can relook at things in slightly different ways. There's the common quote, which is, there are no new ideas. If you kind of look far and wide enough and back further enough, you probably won't find much new. So essentially what he's getting at is there's a balance between novelty and familiarity.
Yeah, it seems to be that he's kind of talking about this tension between, we want things that are familiar to us because they're kind of safe and they're a known quantity, but we also like the new because it's exciting. And the most successful creative ideas flirt the boundary of those two perfectly, where it's just new enough, but it's not so new that it's a completely crazy thing that we've never seen before. But it's new enough that we understand it, but it's exciting.
Yeah, it's a sweet spot. There's this sweet harmony that's formed between what's the current paradigm and then what's just outside of that that's still within the taste zone of enough people to get behind you. So example was that a few examples that he laid out in the book were Harry Potter, which is just the typical orphan rising story, the orphan breaking out of their original life. The iPhone was just the iPod plus a phone. And Star Wars, which is a Western set in space. So he's really trying to make a point here, and all those to me resonate. But you look at fashion as well, mate. And music and taste and all those type of things. They very much fit in that space.